Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here tonight with you all. And I know you guys will be listening out for our guest tonight, so hold on one moment. And again, welcome to the Magical Witchy World show. And tonight we have Tony Mierzwicki. Okay, see, I was supposed to do that with him beforehand so that I did not mess up his name. So he'll have to come out and correct me when he comes out. So in the meantime, I will be introducing you to Tony Miracle. Okay, I'm messing that up. I know I am. Hold on one second. Hi, Tony. How are you?
I'm doing really well, Star. How are you today?
I'm okay, thank you. And what I would like to do is please tell me how to pronounce your or enunciate your last name.
I anglicize it to Mierzwicki, the actual Polish.
Mierzwicki.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was that, but I said I might be doing that wrong. So that's why I started. Mierzwicki. Okay, got
Mhm.
it. So it is a pleasure to have you here with us tonight. Again, Tony Mierzwicki. So
The
again,
pleasure is all
welcome.
mine.
Okay, so I'm going to go into your bio and hopefully I do not mess up that either. Okay,
Hmm.
so tonight, Tony Mierzwicki is the author of Hellenismos,
Hellenismos. Yeah.
Practicing Greek Polytheism Today and Greco-Egyptian Magic, Everyday Empowerment. He has contributed to various anthologies and has been featured extensively in print, online, and broadcast media. Tony developed a fascination for ancient religions in the early 1980s, which led him to immerse himself into ceremonial magic in 1990. He has been running regular workshops and rituals recreating ancient magical and religious practices in the United States and on the east coast of Australia since 2001. So, as you guessed it, I believe, then Tony, you are Australian?
I am indeed born and raised in Sydney,
Okay.
Australia.
Okay. So we're very glad to have you with us here tonight. And
I'm,
we've been
I'm
looking
absolutely
forward to
thrilled
this
to be here.
conversation. I'm sorry?
I'm absolutely thrilled to be here.
Absolutely great. Thank you. So I'm going to begin right away with our questions for the night. So over the years, we tend to refer to ourselves as different things because we may have started, I don't know, as maybe Wiccan or just spiritual or whatever it is. And so it's not titles of what other people have given you, but what you have thought to call yourself based on where you think you are. And so right now, what I would like to kind of have you give us a bit of that arc that you took and where you are right now, what you call yourself.
Sure, I identify primarily as a Hellenic reconstructionist and a theurgist, but
Okay.
also as a Greco-Egyptian syncretist and a ceremonial magician. And as I said before, I'm originally from Sydney, Australia, and the esoteric community was much smaller there than it is in the United States. Most people were pagans and witches, and there were a few ceremonial magicians hailing from the OTO, the Temple of Set, and a few others. I started off as a solo practitioner working primarily the Golden Dawn system, but then found myself gravitating to more ancient modalities. I feel very blessed living in America, and I've been here on and off since 2003, as the community here is so much bigger than it was in Australia, and there are practitioners involved in a huge range of varying paths. So you could call it a spiritual smorgasbord, for want of a better term. I'm
Okay.
very grateful. I'm very grateful that I've come across people on almost the same path as mine. That just wasn't possible back in Australia because the community was so much smaller. One
Right.
thing that the Christians really got right was the need for fellowship. I think it's very important to have people around us who will support us, and if their path is similar to ours, then that's a bonus. I think it's true that all of us evolve and change as we practice and acquire more knowledge. I think that we all maintain a love of the modalities we experience as we find what truly resonates with us. All of our
Right.
past experiences define what we are now and the influence who we will further evolve into. There's also a need to, and so there's no need to just limit yourself to just the one path. It's fine to have numerous paths, as all of them have something really special to offer.
Okay. So what are you calling yourself right now?
Um, well, the book Hellenismos is
Helen.
based on my experience as a Hellenic Reconstructionist.
Okay.
My book, Greco-Egyptian Magic, reflects my interest in theurgy and Greco-Egyptian syncretism, and I originally started off
Mm,
practicing ceremonial magic, and I'm still very much drawn to it. So I basically have four hats that I wear.
mm. But actually, you mentioned Golden Dawn as well, right? That you started out there. So that was that's more high magic than has anything to do with ceremonial magic. That's basically high magic, right?
Yeah, yeah. I actually see Golden Dawn as ceremonial magic.
Mm,
So when I think of ceremonial magic, I think of the ITO, the AA. There's also chaos magic. There's sentient magic. There's the magic of from the Church of Satan. There are all sorts of modalities that people can go into. Ceremonial magic tends to be very exacting, very precise. I
mm.
think that's the biggest difference between it and something like witchcraft or Wicca.
Right, right. But which that's what I mean. I started out as a high magician. So when you mentioned Golden Dawn and all of that, they never considered themselves ceremonial magicians. They just considered themselves high magicians. So
Okay,
that's why I was just kind of making sure to identify the differences, because there's a lot of witches that consider practicing ceremonial magic as part of witchcraft, and I don't think they realize they two different things entirely. That's why I want to distinguish between what they are and things like that when I ask you, um, to make sure that they understand, because a lot of them really do not know. They really believe differently, and they would swear to that entirely. And I don't think they realize that it's not been part of witchcraft at all in any way, or Wicca as they choose to say it. Okay, so that's great. I just wanted to kind of differentiate that. So what brought you to that world of what you
um,
call?
well, I think you in your interviews you normally ask about the world of the witch, and the thing is that the world of the witch awaits anyone who attends public rituals. I previously said that in Australia, most people in the esoteric community were pagans and witches. For me, the term pagan refers to an umbrella encompassing numerous non-mainstream spiritual modalities. The largest group under the umbrella are witches and Wiccans, and I've gotten into trouble in the past for distinguishing between them, and I'll probably upset some of your listeners now. Whenever
Right,
I attend public events, most people will be witches and Wiccans. I've stood in a circle with them countless times and have enjoyed all of these experiences.
right, right,
Because of the efforts of people like Selena Fox and the Lady Liberty League, as well as others, Wicca is now a recognized religion in America. The
right,
pentagram is an approved symbol for military tombstones. And there's a definite movement towards religious equality, even though we're not quite there yet. I'm
right.
hoping that other pagan modalities will also be accepted, but the problem is that none of them have the numbers that Wiccans have. So realistically, it'll be a struggle unless everyone unites under the banner of being pagan.
Well,
That way,
that's the see that's the part. What Lori and they had told me when they did it, with 1983, when they got the word Wicca done, they were not willing to accept the word witch. So this is why when we don't differ, we don't say in the world of witch, we have you tell us what you are, and we base it on that for you. Um, and that's a general way of how we do it. But the way that they, like, I'm a witch, I'm not wicked. And when I'm in the hospital and they ask me what religion I am, and the only thing that I can see close to what I am is Wicca, I grab onto it and hold on to it, because that's the only thing that's there, because that's the only thing they're willing to give us.
hmm,
Either that or the word other. So I would choose Wicca. But that's because I know the word Wicca as being originally just being Wicca, meaning witch, anyways. So I don't care in that respect. But
hmm.
they have made a difference and a differential about the word Wicca and witch in this modern day. So which is why I distinctly say what I am.
Hmm.
And I honestly, they tried the word pagan and they tried the word witch, and it was not accepted. They went with Wicca because that's what I think they were willing to accept, and at least it was something.
Yeah,
So,
I
you know
think that the problem is that the word witch has a lot of baggage associated with it. So people point to that verse in the Bible, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live."
yeah, but
You know,
well, we all know though that the baggage came with the luggage that they packed for us. We didn't
yeah,
have it. They packed it for us and they told us this is your baggage to carry. And
yeah,
we're like, we don't have a choice, but at least it's something, because their ignorance of not knowing what the word Wicca really means gives us the word witch without them realizing it. So
yeah.
it's all good all the way around. You know what I mean? So it works out in that sense. So from your point of view, what does it mean to be what you practice as a I'm saying it wrong. I know I am.
Um,
So,
a, a Hellenic Reconstructionist.
right,
The
a
thing is,
Hellenic Reconstructionist.
I sought out paganism for the same reason as many others in our community. So many of us felt like outsiders and misfits. We were perceived by everyone around us as being different. I personally was brought up a Christian, but I never quite resonated with it. I've witnessed healings, deliverances, which are mini official exorcisms. I've witnessed healings. I've felt the energy raised in some churches, but it never quite felt right for me. Yeah, in a way, I envy those who are happy in the religion of their birth, as it's much easier than having to diligently try to find what is optimal. And the thing is, so many people who are drawn to witchcraft and paganism describe a feeling of coming home or
Yes, yeah,
finding family, and to no longer be an outsider, but to have a sense of belonging to a caring and accepting community is a special gift which should never be underestimated. A
right.
totally solitary path only works for some introverts. The rest of us need meaningful connections.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you're right about that. Most of us do have that feeling of coming home and finding people who are part of them, or mindset and things like that. Things have changed in this modern day and time, unfortunately, with a lot of things, but it's okay. That's aside from the point right now. Um,
There was a time when being weird was a put down, but I consider myself weird, and I'm drawn to weirdness in others. It's like I feel like I've found my tribe when I find other people with weird interests.
yes, absolutely. So how has magic been part of your lifestyle?
Um, One of the reasons why I left Christianity, apart from the judging and self righteousness, was the required sense of passiveness. There was a need to acknowledge a priest or a minister as the shepherd of their flock. I always wanted to be my own priest. Perhaps that smacks of pride and arrogance, but we have to take responsibility for our own paths. So, just going off on a tangent, throughout his long years of captivity, Nelson Mandela took comfort in the words of William Ernest Henley's poem Invictus. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. So just let those last two lines sink in. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. I can't imagine the need for personal responsibility being spelled out any more clearly than this.
Yeah,
So for me, to be a witch, a pagan, or a magician is to take charge of your life through an understanding of esoteric principles. It's a path of personal empowerment where victimhood is left behind and we strive to attain to being the very best version of ourselves. For Wiccans and Celtic Reconstructionists, it's also a path of harmonizing with Mother Earth through working with the Wheel of the Year. For other pagans, there's also an appreciation for Mother Earth and our place in the scheme of things, but possibly to a lesser extent. And there's also an understanding of the interconnectedness of all things, and that everything we do has an effect on everyone and
right,
everything else.
right. Absolutely, absolutely. Um, And that's a great way of putting it too. So I appreciate that. So tell us a little bit about what's important to you right now.
It's important to me to take to be able to have freedom. I think that the freedom for everyone to practice their religion or spiritual path, it's also important for everyone to be treated equally, regardless of race, religion, color, gender, sexual orientation, and so on. This is sadly often overlooked. And I think I don't want to get too political, but I think it's also important for corporations and the rich to pay their fair share of tax like they did in the 1950s. If you
Right.
took money off the top from
Yeah.
those who have more than they could ever possibly spend and
Yep.
gave it to those at the bottom, then everyone would have a basic standard of living, but the obscenely rich would still be obscenely rich.
Yeah. And that's the part that I don't think that, or rather that I don't think they care to admit. They'd still be obscenely rich, but some of it will be spread to the people beneath, so that there would not be this many homeless people, which a lot of them, if you go up to them, are veterans who
Yeah,
came back from the
exactly.
war. And veterans are living on the streets and homeless, and people treat them like they don't exist. Veterans who fought for the rights of Americans. And the thought that a lot of people look down on them, not just as homeless people, but as, I don't want to get political, as that person that left the office earlier. He would say things derogatory about them
Mm,
and such things, and I'm like, how dare you, you burn-spoil person, you know what I mean? Like, they fought for the rights for you to even open your bloody mouth, and
yeah.
here you are putting them down. And I'm like, you know what? So I kind of, again, we have to kind of pull ourselves back, because everything is political these days, no matter what we say or do, because
Yeah.
religion is very political. Everything is political these days. So but in coming back from that, it kind of tells you what's important to you, and that's true. It should be those things, and it's something that we should be looking out for with people, but it's not what's happening a lot of the times, and that's kind of sad.
I absolutely totally agree with you. I mean, we wouldn't have the lifestyle that we enjoy, the freedoms that we enjoy,
Yeah,
if it hadn't been for veterans who laid everything on the line. And
absolutely.
so
Absolutely.
there are many who died, never made it back, and there are those
Exactly.
who are suffering from PTSD and are having a lot of difficulty to reintegrate back into society. And but I found that regardless of someone's political orientation, once you start talking about homeless veterans, most people agree that veterans should never be homeless because of
Nope.
the
Under
sacrifices
any
they've made.
circumstance.
And
Absolutely.
and again, I don't want to get too political, but the thing is, you get people who come in illegally or come in as refugees, and everything's handed to them on a silver platter. But yet, we've got people who risked everything, veterans living on the streets.
Right, right.
It's not right. We should look after our own first. And then once everyone's taken care of in this country, then be charitable to others. But you should always look after your own first.
I mean, that part is true, but I'm in some respects I agree with you, and in some respects I kind of disagree, because
Right?
what they've proven over time is those same people that they give certain things to at first, they turn around and pay some of the highest and most taxes in this country afterwards. So they pay it back in another way. They may not at first, but they do turn around and do it. They've proven that several ways over the time. So in that respect, they may be handed something, but then they turn around and they try to replenish or put back in what they were given, kind of a thing. That's what I've done research on and found. But I mean, we don't know entirely everything, but that's what has been proven. But it kind of segues into the next question, which is about community, and how you feel about it and where you think it should go next. Because it may segue into some of the things that you were just speaking about. Maybe you have ways of how to help with certain things. I don't know. So give us a little bit of that.
I think that witches and pagans should be more visible in society so as to reduce discrimination. The thing is that people tend to react negatively to things that they don't understand or fear. So more public education would be a good thing. The
Yes.
pagan Pride Day celebrations that we have all over the world
Yeah.
are definitely a step in the right direction with their
Absolutely.
donations to local food banks. And
Right.
witches and
Right.
pagans need to engage in more to help the less fortunate society. Not only is it the
Absolutely.
right thing to do, but it will also help show our community in a more favorable light than most people see it. And I think it
Absolutely.
would also be a good thing if witches stopped battling against each other. But,
Mm.
you've heard of the term witch war. And
Yes.
we should basically be uniting against those who would destroy our community. I mean, Star, I've stood by you as you battled with a certain demographic, which
Hmm.
shall remain unnamed, who tried to shut down your fun community event, Witches Fest, back in 2022. And the thing
Yes.
is, all of us united together in the face of adversity, even though we were from different spiritual modalities. So there were witches and Wiccans there were ceremonial magicians there were Santeria people there, and many others. We all came together to face a common enemy. It's
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, I just find it a little bit sad that it takes a common enemy for us to come together. We should be
Isn't that so?
coming together anyway, regardless. I mean,
Absolutely.
we have more in common with each other than we do against a certain demographic.
Right.
And
Right.
kind of wipe us
But
out.
you know what? You're right, though. It takes us to have a common enemy for us to unite, and that's kind of sad. We
Yeah,
should be able to unite in general without having to have a common enemy, but just to be the to the just to the power of the word of uniting and showing all our differences are and our diversities are what's a power,
yeah.
what empowers everyone. And I think it's such a shame that they don't see it. Everybody's too busy being one upped or ego or different things. And, you know, it is what it is. That's humanity as the way they are. Which is why you kind of like those movies where the aliens came from another planet and attacked Earth, and suddenly every human is like, "Yes, let's
Exactly.
go! Humans
Exactly.
against aliens," and you're like, "Yeah, now you want to fight humans against aliens, and there's no more race thing, right? Yes, just the aliens and the humans." Suddenly, it's just like, can't you just see us like that now already? You
But
know,
but but then the sad thing is that once the alien threat is removed, we all go
yes,
back to fighting each
right
other.
back, exactly, right
Yeah.
back. We haven't learned the lesson yet, and
No.
we're watching it play out in politics right now. We haven't learned the lessons, and maybe we do need that alien warship to come down and make us finally unite. Who knows?
Well,
What will it take us as humans?
the government's being far more open about sightings of UFOs, whereas before they tried to shut them all down, and now they're slowly being more and more open. I think that they feel that we're ready for a revelation that we are not
Yeah,
alone in the
it might
universe.
be. It might be because part of the whole thing, the reason why they didn't is because, and I can understand where they were coming from. Humans are easily built on fear. I mean, we're watching all of that play out right now politically.
Hmm.
Everything is based on fear, and you can guide them based on fear. It is what has led Jim Jones and others like him to be able to have all these cultish behaviors, and people follow it. So it's all built on fear, and everything humans don't understand, they fear. That's just the way they're built. They never think of, gee, let's try and figure out if we have something in common. Let's see what we can build from there. They never seem to start from there. They start from, I don't know this and I fear this and let's take it out, kind of a thing. And that's kind of sad.
That's actually very true, and that's why earlier on I was emphasizing the need for public education. The thing
Mhm.
is that the term witch has a lot of negative baggage. I mean,
Right.
you even look at witches in Disney movies that we grew up with. They're always evil.
Yep.
You know, I
Or,
suppose
or, or ugly looking, or ugly looking. And then you see there's us, and we're like, no, we're the real
yeah. I
thing.
mean, you're gorgeous.
And we're like, okay, to each his own, kind of a thing. Live in fear. That would make
Hmm.
you feel better, kind of
Yeah.
a thing. That's what I end up doing with a lot of them. I kind of step away and go, okay, you could keep on living in your fear. That's how you thrive. It's okay, and you let it go because that's what feels good for them. Because that's what they. I think that's their go-to modality. So they're so accustomed to it, they don't know how to step outside of that built-in fear kind of a thing. Again, it's a shame.
It is a shame. I mean, if you're living in fear, you're not really living. You're surviving. It's like you're
Yeah,
just eking out an existence from day to day. You're far better off learning what this new thing that you're exposed to is really all about, finding that it's not that different to what you do. I mean, when it comes down to it, that the certain demographic we are talking about, they do many of the same things that we do. They go into their places of worship, they light candles, they say prayers, they hope for good things to happen to them. They do all exactly the same things that we do. We really have a lot in common with them. It's just that we don't accept the central figure
right.
in
And
their religion.
also, one of the things too, you said it. We do exactly what they do. They just do not accept that as what we do. They think what we do is very different because we don't do it like they do it. But it's
Yeah.
exactly what they do. We do the same thing, just at home, maybe solitary wise, or with a few of us, not in the church, you know. And you won't say it, but I'll say it. It was Christians, and they were
Hmm.
horrible, absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And but we took care of that. We took care of that, and now we have police protection all day long. So they did not
That's
show up. They did not show up last year at all because there were police protection on both sides of the street all day long. They were not playing, and yay.
they were absolutely horrible. But
Yeah,
just to make things plain, I don't have a problem with Jesus. I think Jesus was absolutely wonderful the way
yeah,
he loved everyone unconditionally. He pushed a message of helping the poor, healing the sick, and I think if Christians followed the words of Jesus, the world would be a better place. But the
yeah.
problem is they don't.
They
They're
don't.
following the words of Paul, which is a message of being judgmental and hateful, and you've got the prosperity gospel, which is totally contrary to everything that Jesus preached. He said that it was easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it was for a rich man to enter the kingdom of heaven. And yet, in the prosperity gospel, the rich are raised on high, and how rich you are indicates how blessed you are by the Lord. They don't take into account how the person got that wealth. If they came up with some neat discovery or wrote some software and nobody was hurt in the process, then that's absolutely wonderful. But what about the people who made their fortune through the sweat and toil of others, or
Right.
profited from slavery in other countries, like Nestle profiting from slavery in African countries where children are forced
To do
uh,
child labor.
to pick cocoa, and also taking water away from disadvantaged communities. I mean, there's nothing ethical about what a company like Nestle does, and then you've got Monsanto doing evil stuff as well, taking people's livelihoods away from them, forcing farmers to grow their crops, introducing a monoculture. I find what they do evil. I'm a great believer in mom and pop farms that
Yeah, yeah, me too.
sustainable organic agriculture. The food is so
It's
much better
healthier.
for
It's
you.
healthier.
Exactly. It's healthier. It's much more nutritious. We should be eating like our grandparents ate. And
Yeah.
if you see something in front of you that wasn't around when your grandparents were around, it's like, no, no, I don't want that.
Right, right. And it's a shame because what you're saying is correct. And the thing is, it's the reason why there are so many. I mean, not that we want to go off on tangents like this, but you kind of hit a topic that it's the reason why there are so many evangelicals that are with their jets and all the other things. And there was Jim Jones. All of them had these things, and it's more like cult behaviors as opposed to living Christ-like, as you would say. And it's the reason why Jim Jones was able to tell people drink this and die with me, and he couldn't even do it for himself. He was a coward.
Yeah.
He had to have them do it for him because he couldn't do it. I'm just like, they generally are cowards, but they know how to speak such words of charm that people fall into line and do as they are told. and I don't see it, but then, I think you have to be a certain type of personality in some ways. I don't know. It just, it's baffling to me, I think, is what I'm basically reaching at. But yeah, we're going off in, in a more political end, and we don't want to do that, and we've been doing that without really meaning to. But what you're saying though is truth to power, and that's why in a way we kind of went off there. You know but okay, so what would you like to see us as a community accomplish, or as um pagans accomplish?
Um, I actually pretty well answered that earlier on when I said that pagans and witches should be more visible so that they reduce discrimination,
Okay.
um, and also being more visible. And I mentioned donating to various charities, to local food banks, maybe assisting in soup kitchens, going off to Skid Row, handing out meals to people. And even if you only help them on that one day, then that's one day that those people have had a nice meal in their stomachs.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's one of the things why, even at Witches Fest, we have three charities that we give to each year when we do the event, and we when any monies and food that we collect, the food we take and we give to the to City Harvest, who then gives it out to different food pantries,
You
and
know,
let us know how many people or families were fed with those food and things like that, and that's really great. So there's the City Harvest, the St. Jude's Children's Hospital for cancer, or for all the different research that they do and take care of the kids. And I forgot what's the third one. St. Jude, City Harvest, and Feed America.
hmm,
So those are the three charities that we dealt with, and the reason we've been sticking with those is because that's what's been hitting most: food and things like that, and somehow we have to take care of the children. So
hmm.
those has been, we used to change up a lot, but now we've kind of stuck with those three for a bit, and we're going to stay there for a bit with it. um so
It,
it's
it,
important.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about helping the children. I don't know if it happens here or not, but back in Australia, bikers are thought of as criminals and people who are
Wow.
pretty much outlaws. But the thing is, they would have toy drives. So all these guys would get together, they'd buy teddy bears and toys for kids, and they'd roar down the highway, go off to a hospital, and give toys to children in hospitals.
Wow.
So by doing that, they're elevating their profile in society, and people are thinking, well, they can't be all bad if they're giving presents to
Yeah.
poor children in hospitals.
Yeah, they, a lot of them, a lot of bikers are really great guys,
Hmm.
so to have a general notion about them is amazing. I would never have thought that people would think of them all as bad. Wow. Okay.
Um, a lot of them have engaged in criminal activity, or at least in Australia they have. We've had battles between rival biker gangs over territory and the
Oh,
like. There's been gunfire and the like. So they do have a bad reputation, mind you. There's a club called the Ulysses Club, and their motto is "Growing old disgracefully." So you've got all these guys in their 60s and 70s on their motorbikes, and they just hanging with their peers, going off on weekend rides. It's just a group of guys having fun. They're not engaged in anything nefarious at all. It's just
right.
having fun with your
Right.
peers. Yeah.
So people's presumptions are not always correct. But then I guess you can't identify who is who until you get to know them, or discover which ones are, like you said, that one that's just old guys getting together and just having fun,
Yeah.
kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Um, okay. So what projects do you have coming up or are thinking about?
Okay, I'm engaged in putting on two podcasts a month. So one is what we call the Zeus and Hera Show, and that's hosted by my partner Susan Duncan and myself.
Ah, okay.
So this is primarily a forum for me to interview authors whose books I've reviewed for my Patheos blog, which I call Holistic Spirituality. We are, however, looking at expanding it and letting it evolve
Right.
into its final shape. So Susan was talking about having episodes for beginners, because I've had a couple of people contact me and say, your shows look really interesting, but we don't understand all the concepts. So maybe a basic show on Wicca, a basic show on on heathenism, just whatever comes up. But we're being flexible and organic with it. And
Okay.
Susan was actually talking about increasing her profile on the show, so that at the end, when we finish the interview, she would then ask the author how exactly they go about writing, because everyone's got their own techniques for writing, their own techniques for engaging in research, overcoming mental blocks and the like, writer's blocks, I should say. So just getting ideas from people. So we obviously have potential writers in our
Mm,
audience, and this is something that will help them. So if you have enough authors describing what they do to be creative and produce writing, then eventually someone's going to think, whoa, that sounds really great, I can make that
right.
happen.
Right.
And they might just be able to get their first book out. So that's
Right.
the first, so that's the first podcast that I have. And the other one that I have is a theurgy panel. And I've been on this panel for the past 5 years. And I'm with an amazing group of authors who practice theurgy. And the whole group of us are actually involved in an anthology project. I don't think I'm at liberty to comment too much on the way this project is taking place, as
Okay.
no public announcements have been made. But, obviously it's an anthology connected to theurgy.
Okay.
Um, the other thing that I'm doing is I'm running a series of private workshops at the Crooked Path Metaphysical Supplies and Witch Shop, which is in Burbank, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, for the Coven of the Dark Moon. So this particular coven has a strong Hecate focus, but they want to make their rituals more authentically Greek. So they want to be working with the lunisolar calendar of ancient Athens to
Mm,
experience Hecate as authentically as possible. So we're using my book, Hellenismos, Practicing Greek Polytheism Today, as a reference text. The coven's public workings are currently for the two solstices, Beltane and Samhain. So what we're going to be doing is substituting ancient Greek rituals for these workings along with their coven-only rituals. For the ancient Greeks, their year began just after the summer solstice. So we'll be working the year starting with this year's summer solstice and ending with next year's one. So I'm quietly hopeful that this will lead to a book, as it's writing itself with every workshop that I present.
okay.
And by the end of the year, each ritual would have been road tested.
Right. Right. Wow. That's wonderful. And any events you have coming up this year?
Um, so I haven't been involved in a huge amounts of events this year. So I'm going to cheat. Late last year, in November 2023, I was involved in Symposium Chthoniya, and that was actually at that particular bookshop, the Crooked Path
Okay. All
bookshop.
right.
And so that festival is centered on Hecate as well as other chthonic or underworld deities. In February, I was involved in WitchCon Online, which was hosted by Brian Kane and Christian Day. And Star,
Right.
I seem to remember you were one
Yes,
of the
I was.
presenters.
I was. I was there.
So I'm also going to be involved in the event next year, and I'm 99.9% sure you'll be involved in it again next year as well.
Yeah. 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 I am.
So
I am.
on
It's
October,
a wonderful event to do.
absolutely.
I'm not putting on any more online events. It's just too much work.
It,
Yeah.
it is a lot of work. The thing I like about the event is that he's got presenters from all over the world.
Yes. Yes.
So you get a feel for what people are doing around the world, and it's wonderful to be a part of it. So
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
oh,
So,
hold on, I haven't finished yet. I haven't finished yet.
oh,
So
sorry, sorry, sorry. Go ahead.
I'm going to cut you off. So on October 13, I hope to be involved in Pagan Pride Day Los Angeles in Orange County. And I had hoped that your Witches Fest online event would have been on, and I'd have been participating in that if it had been. There's a reasonable chance that Susan and I will be in New York City to attend the physical component of the event.
Mm,
And hopefully no one will try to sabotage it this year. I've
no.
been to a number of other events, but only as an attendee, so I won't mention those.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So, how can people reach out to you?
The easiest way to find me is through my Facebook pages. I have a personal page and an author page, and I also have a Patheos blog called Holistic Spirituality. So that's the easiest way to do it. You're actually going to ask me another question. You skipped past it.
This is
So,
why you just went past the time. I have all this to do, and I want to. So this is one. Which one was that?
so the question was about leading a magic lifestyle.
Oh, that I did ask you that.
No, you didn't.
I asked you how is magic part of your lifestyle, and you
Oh,
said you
okay.
did. I did ask you all of
Okay.
this. See,
Yeah.
this is why I don't give out questions beforehand. I never do.
Well, I mean, Rhonda sent me all the questions, so I was able to
Yeah,
have a think about what I wanted to say. So I think
yeah.
your wording was a little bit different to hers. So can we go back to that magic lifestyle?
Oh, okay.
Do it.
I'm
I
running
need
out of time though because I do have. Okay, so
okay,
what?
5 minutes. 5 minutes. 5 minutes.
How is
Okay.
magic part of your lifestyle?
Okay. I was just going to say that in my book, Greco Egyptian Magic Everyday Empowerment, Donald Michael Craig wrote a truth that he stressed in his own work. Or he did while he was alive. So he wrote, magic isn't something you do. Magic is something you are. So by that, he meant that you need to live and breathe magic rather than just dabble in it occasionally. So in my case, I attune myself to the planetary energies of the day. So this ideally means wearing the correct color. So on Fridays, I wear blue for Aphrodite. That's just the correspondence that I use, and it's largely derived from the Greek magical papyri. And and if I go full on, I have a ring for each day of the week. There's a fragrance for each day of the week, and I recite an invocation for the day. So there are numerous correspondences out there for those who want to give this a try. Ceremonial magicians will dip into 777. Others will dip into their favorite author's recommendations. And as I said, my system is derived primarily from the Greek magical papyri. So with the system, you always know what color you're going to wear, which of your rings you're going to wear, and what fragrance you're going to wear. So personally, I have singlets for the gym, t-shirts for everyday wear, short sleeve shirts for a smart casual look, and long sleeve shirts for a more formal look in the 7 colors for each day of the week. So with that as a daily basis, I can then add in Hellenic festivals, solstice and equinox workings, and so on. So that's how I engage in a magic lifestyle. So that
Okay.
was a question that you kind of asked and I missed.
No, yeah, you answered, but I think you wanted to answer a certain way. Okay. All right. So thank you so much for being with the show tonight. And if you
Thank you
guys
so much.
time,
Thank you so much for having me. It's such a pleasure to meet up with you again, and I really
absolutely.
hope that Susan and I can make it to Witches Fest this year, and see you and see some of the events, see some of the speakers, and because it's the event has such a wonderful vibe. It was a pleasure being there and being part of it, even just as an attendee.
Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. All right. Hold on, everyone. Okay, everyone. And one little thing I have to correct with the commercial from our sponsor. The date she was supposed to upload the new commercial for it, which is just July 6th. We're not doing the camp this year. We're doing it next year. So it's July 6th, Saturday, July 6th, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. And we hope you will all come out. There'll be I think it's 12 or 13 free workshops, live performances. That's the presenters' performances, and we have some actual demonstrations from people regarding martial arts and other things that we have going on. So we do hope you can come out and enjoy the wonderful day that it's going to be. All right. So on with our astrology. And it's rain or shine. Unfortunately, the city does not give us a rain date or any such thing. It does not exist in New York. So it's rain or shine. All right. Hope to see you guys there. All right. So on with the astrology for tonight, which we're going to do the June horoscope, which brings the most social and mentally stimulating energy of 2024. So Jupiter in Gemini is stirring up a storm in June. It's Gemini season, but you probably don't need to be reminded, as your June monthly horoscope for each zodiac sign is fully dominated by Gemini's curious and open-minded energy throughout the whole excuse me, the whole first half of the month. While the sign of the twins is generally airy and lighthearted, the month kicks off with lots of deep thoughts and philosophical transformations thanks to a trine between expansive Jupiter and power hungry Pluto, and this is going to happen on June 2nd. Chatty and logical Mercury joins the Sun in its home sign of Gemini on June 3rd, where it immediately aligns with Jupiter, bringing big ideas and lots of mental connections. And just don't get too caught up in any of the gossip or exaggeration or misinformation or disinformation or even conspiracy theories. That's a warning in June. The Sun links up with romantic Venus the following day, forming a Venus Casimir and kicking off fun and flirty news cycle in matters of love, romance, and money. I'm going to go for the money. I'm not too much with the love and romance so much, okay? Just saying. You're going to hear me say that a lot all the time. I'm just stating the facts. The new moon in Gemini on June 6th is the perfect time to set an intention around these very same themes. So, tap into your heart and make a wish. Action planet Mars enters steadfast Taurus on June 9th, giving us loads of stamina and sustained focus when it comes to executing our goals for the long haul. Just beware of getting overly competitive or giving into power struggles, as Mars squares off with intensity loving Pluto 2 days later. Success doesn't have to be a race, so go at your own pace. You may have some breakthroughs or aha moments around your plans about mid month, as the Mercury Casimir on June 14th will bring clarity to matters of communication and thinking. So let the ideas flow. The soft and sensitive Cancerian energy starts rolling in during the wee hours of June 17th, as both mental Mercury and lover Venus enters this water sign, hand in hand, plunging us into a more emotional way of thinking and relating to others. Approach people with compassion and sensitivity, as everyone's feelings are a little bit more tender now. We've been talking about a lot of things that we hit on politically, Tony and I, so you kind of understand where we're coming from with that. Cancer season takes the cosmic reins in full on June 20th, which also heralds the summer solstice here in the Northern Hemisphere. And the longest day of the year is certainly something to celebrate. And we'll be even more energized and ready to take advantage of it thanks to the full moon in Capricorn that peaks the following day. And finally, the month wraps up with Saturn stationing retrograde in Pisces on June 29th, which is a time to reflect on the new responsibilities that have emerged in our lives so far this year. So, I'm going to begin with three of the first horoscopes for June, and the next week we'll do the next three and so on. So let's begin the June 2024 horoscope for each zodiac sign. And we begin with Aries. That's my month. I'm kind of the cusp between Aries and Taurus. People say there's no such thing as the cusp, but with the decans, I'm definitely square into it. I'm on the third decan. So for the monthly affirmation for Aries, I stick to my word, both myself and to others. Again, that monthly affirmation is I stick to my word, both for myself and to others. This is a truth for us. Gemini season always has you feeling like a social butterfly, and your horoscope for June 24 is no exception. The first week that you will see of the month lights up your calendar with events that has your inbox overflowing with messages. And thanks to the presence of relationship oriented Venus and chatty Mercury in your communication sector, it can be a great time to open up a new dialogue within your relationships and build new connections in your life, especially under the new moon on June 6th. A few days later, your cosmic ruler Mars leaves your sign and brings its high energy action into your house of finance. So, this can be a good time to make some money moves. Okay, again, that's on June 6th. Don't forget. Just keep in mind that feisty Mars will be clashing with power hungry Pluto during that transition. So try not to get too competitive about your goals. Stick to what you want to know, what you want to do, and what you know you want to do, okay? There's no need to keep up with the Joneses or prove your worth to anyone else, just to yourself. Stick to what your goals are. Your schedule will slow down a bit during the latter half of the month as communication focused Mercury and relationship oriented Venus enter your homey fourth house on June 17th. Cancer season kicks off alongside the summer solstice a few days later, so use the long days and enhanced emotional awareness to connect with your family. Make more space for your feelings or even extend an olive branch to people you've lost touch with. Take care of any urgent matters at work under the full moon on June 21st so that you can fully maximize on prioritizing your feelings. All right. So now, Taurus. For you Taurians, your monthly affirmation is I am a money magnet because luxury finds me wherever I go. Did you hear that? You are a money magnet because luxury finds you wherever you go. Time and money are valuable resources, and your horoscope for June 24 wants you to consider how you're spending yours. Your time is important and it's valuable. The quizzical energy of Gemini season is lighting up your chart's finance sector, and once logistical, loving Mercury joins the party on June 3rd, you'll be ready to start crunching some numbers and making some solid plans, whether that means investing in your online shopping list or squirreling away some extra cash for summer adventures or for that business idea that you had. Your ruling planet Venus is linking up with the Sun for a lush Casimi the following day, which is the perfect time to treat yourself to something special. Investing in self care is always worth it. Creating a budget for yourself under the new moon on June 6th can be effective, so long as you leave some wiggle room to continue indulging in life's little luxuries. Energy starts picking up in a big way after the new moon as red hot planet Mars enters your sign on June 9th. This transit will boost your physical stamina throughout the rest of the month and gives you loads of motivation to take action toward your goals. Your social life is picking up speed too, as relationship oriented Venus and chatty Mercury hit your communication sector on June 17th. This means you'll be fully ready to connect with friends, get your flirt on, and have some fun in the sun once the summer solstice hits on June 20th. The full moon the following day is an exciting and expansive one, so embrace new adventures and be willing to step outside your comfort zone if an opportunity arises. Don't forget that, okay? Now, Gemini, the last one for tonight. Your monthly affirmation is there's no one I'd rather be friends with than myself. A lot of self love. Again, there's no one I'd rather be friends with than myself. Gotta love yourself and be friends with yourself. The sun is shining in your sign this month. So your horoscope for June 24 is packed with exciting opportunities when it comes to love, money, and more expansions. Things kick off with lucky Jupiter in your sign, vibing with intensity planet Pluto, catalyzing your paradigm, those shifts, and helping you break free of old ways of thinking. Your cosmic ruler Mercury hits your sign on June 3rd, promising a fully charged social battery and plenty of creative new ideas. And the following day, a romantic Venus Casimir renews your sense of self worth. Okay? Um, Once that happens, it will be giving you an extra boost of confidence and an irresistible allure. Use that magic to your advantage under the annual new moon in your sign on June 6th because your manifesting powers are at an all-time high at that time. And once mid month rolls around, your plans will really start falling into place. And that's thanks to the Mercury Casimi in your sign on June 14th. It'll be a great time to speak about your needs or map out a logical path to your personal goals. And a few days later, romantic Venus and communicative Mercury will leave your sign and move into your house of material resources. And they're followed by the sun on all of that on June 20th. This will be a great time to tend your money to money matters and buff up your bank account after a busy birthday month. Use the full moon on June 21st as an excuse to let go of emotional baggage that keeps you from embracing all the luxuries that you seek in life. All right, so enjoy that. And next week I'll do the next three. We'll do the next three for you, as Rhonda was not able to be here tonight. So I will move on to the tarot time. Hold on. All right, so I want you all to, again, you know how I want it all the time. You're going to pull one tarot card, and that tarot card is going to be based on your sign. If that's your sign, one of them that was your sign tonight, Aries, Taurus, or Gemini, you'll be pulling on that card, whatever it is, and see what's in store for you this month. Okay. For the month of June. Oh dear. I keep getting this card. And I just shuffled the deck as I was doing it with you guys. So this is the Eight of Pentacles. Okay. And it did speak about the finances and all of that. And if you notice, I've got the coins lined up and everything like that. And I'm even working on polishing it, making sure it's all shiny and nice. And it's all there for you to see and hold on to. And you're planning everything. You're adding it up and you're putting it there and you're saying, I'm going to keep an eye on it because you've got plans for these coins. And everything is kind of aligning itself for you with Jupiter, Pluto, and everything else that's happening in the month of June. So apply some of that for yourself, especially around the new moon, as it said, and all that time in between to help your financial sectors. And you have a lot of resources. Utilize them. Okay. So whatever you pull for yourself, enjoy that card for yourself and take heed to some of that and what the astrology's houses are being said for you tonight. So keep all of that in mind, okay? And we want to thank, hold on. We want to have you join us next week, June 3rd, for when our guest will be Michelle Mountain or Hairspawn. She's one of the performers at Witches Fest this year. And we would like to thank you, our guest, Tony Mierzwicki, for being with us tonight. And for all of you in the chat and everyone else that we've had on the show, please like, subscribe, share. And I forgot there's one more thing, right? I always forget. Please like, subscribe, share. Okay, I forgot. And anyways, so do come back with us next week and we will all see you then. Have a wonderful night. Take care, everyone.